where is the appropriate place to meet or talk to someone or say, hey, I think you look cute? It just seems challenging when you lead a cloistered lifestyle. Like your places are work and home. Like that's where I go, that's what I do. I don't really do much else. And I don't really know where much else to go to, find the type of lady that I'd like to have, or maybe, their subculture, the way they carry themselves with their personality would do the same thing, and neither of us are going to see each other because we're both like, introverted neats, I guess.
Yep.
Looking for your player too? Welcome to the Date Like a Nerd podcast, where your gamer skills, dice rolls, and cosplay are your greatest dating assets. I'm Alex, and I'm a dating coach who helps shy, introverted nerds find their player two organically. I've interviewed hundreds of nerds and learned what really works. Here we skip the just be confident cliches and get real about how nerds actually meet their player too. Are you ready?
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Alex, and I help shy, introverted nerds get over their fears and anxieties to find their player two. I've been hearing from many of you that you'd like to hear from fellow nerds who are still single and looking. So Kirk was very kind to come here and share his story. Kirk, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, glad to be here, Alex. Thanks for having me.
So just to get started, what makes you a nerd?
Well, I'd say it's my fascination in tech and nerd culture, things like dueling and Magic the Gathering, like playing tabletop role-playing games, and started ever since I, discovered computer gaming in the early 2000s with the family Windows XP computer and Lego CD-ROMs. And from there, it sort of grew into learning how to fix my laptop from singeing out its heatsink from so much Team Fortress 2 gaming to, building my own custom PCs afterward and getting involved in web development tech because, I was actually interested in game development for a while, but that wasn't as career viable as I would have hoped, at least in, the position that I felt I was in. So I went into web development, and that's what I do now. And outside of that, I keep to my tabletop role-playing hobbies, still enjoy playing video games and tinker around with digital and physical creation with my 3D printers and other various softwares.
Awesome. What colors do you play in Magic?
Anything except blue, truly.
Yes, that is the right answer.
No. I have a Saskia the Unyielding deck. She's color ID, everything except blue. And I'm like, yes, this is my commander. This is the way the game is meant to be played. Listen, okay, blue players out there, listen, you're not bad people. You're just wrong. The purpose of the game is to play it, not to prevent everyone else from playing it. Please, I beg you, let me cast my creature. No, I see you tapping that 2 mana. Stop that.
You're every time I ask that question, I'm the only wrong answer is blue. You can say anything you want except for blue.
Except blue. It's just that easy.
Yep. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
For sure.
Okay, so can you tell me a bit about how your dating life is going? Are you looking for what kind of person are you looking for? What have you been trying? How's your social life? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I'll keep it real. It's just ever since I guess sort of left high school and went through sort of the college social life, because that's where it really begins. I'm going to be honest with you. I usually kept to myself for groups that were interested in the same niches that I was. So I found an MTG dueling group over at first college that I went to. But then, due to some circumstances, I had to change my education. So from that point, it was more strictly business, go in, attend the lectures, do the work, and then go. Not many people were into what I was into culturally with MTG or just competitive or just regular gaming, that sort of thing. And I've always sort of just kept to myself. It's a simple and peaceful thing, really. You don't involve yourself in too much social drama, whether on the chat room or just out and about there. And that's sort of how I enjoyed things. It's I would just do that, although it's not very conducive to dating, and it has been on the mind for a little while. You hear all these stories about having high school sweethearts or something, finding your person really early. And I did have my share of crushes. I had one or two, even had a prom kiss, but that didn't really go anywhere. Sort of like, what went on in the prom stayed a prom sort of thing, and they were with somebody else in only 2 weeks. And even though I asked, like, my crush to prom, they just politely declined. And I'm like, yeah, that's understandable. It's like, you can't force a horse to drink, when you lead it to water. Like, that's a bit of a extrapolation of the phrase, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't force somebody to like you simply because you like them. And it's just that social contract or mutual understanding of like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm not your type, or it's not the time. Like, whatever the reason is, like, it's your reason. Like,
Yep.
you wouldn't want to change or like force somebody to change just to like appease or emotionally satisfy you, because that just leads to like, building resentment and like betrayal or hurt down the road. And that's just not a healthy way to live.
Yeah. And you also don't want to change yourself to fit whatever it is that they want, right?
Bingo. As far as how that's sort of translated into my adult life, I've done a lot less social things being involved as like a homeowner and, a career man now. Just I'm a salaried web developer. So it's just like the priorities for me have sort of shifted from what I could have afforded them to being when I wasn't, a homeowner and I was like with my parents, to just like, this is my place that I've got to manage, and I got to make sure, every piper's paid for, the tunes that they play, whether it's, the mortgage company, utilities, or otherwise. So,
yeah,
I mean, been on a bit of a fast track with life, so that hasn't left much mind space for considering relationships, especially how scary it's the sort of like dichotomy or like, battle of the sexes has grown, like that you see mostly blasted on social media.
do you think that's real?
I would say that it's real in the sense that they are the loudest.
Yes.
It's kind of like that concept of, because it's the most commonly like cycled or presented thing, that it's a programmed behavior or like a programmed response. Like, you see the patterns. It's like, one incident is like, an instance, two is a coincidence, like three is a trend, and four is a pattern. But, when the only things that you ever see are sort of these inundations of like, men ain't crap, or like women ain't crap, and all that. It's just like, it just kind of eats at you if you let it. And you just got to take a step back or disconnect from all of that and realize that, a majority of the people, like, as grim as it might be, nobody really cares. Like, that everybody's going about their own business just as much as you are. Like, but in that like thought string, it also kind of makes it difficult to approach from the onset, because the responses that you sort of expect from people going about their business is just like, like buzz off or something. Like, they're worried about their own stuff. So it makes sort of like, I guess, walking up and talking to somebody that you might be interested in a little more challenging. I don't know. It's like the dating paradigms have definitely shifted, like from when I guess our parents did it to now. And it's kind of hard to navigate that field, especially if you haven't had sort of the upbringing that shows you that or teaches you that, navigates what a healthy relationship looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing many things, and this is really cool. Thanks for sharing. So one thing is how you get, like you said, like what you see, right? And I think like what you see is determined by many things. One is the algorithm, which feeds you more of what you pay attention to. The other thing is confirmation bias. So you will see more of what you think is true, regardless of how much that is, right? Like, like every time I get a new hobby or a new anything, I start seeing that more often.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just talking to like my therapist earlier today about that, and it's kind of crazy. Just like, you mention something once and then it just thinks, oh, you want this thing. Great. Let me show you like 1,000 different things of that thing. Like, this is you, this is your personality now.
Well, that's your algorithm. But even if even like outside, right? Like I started playing paddle recently because I'm in Mexico right now. And I was like, oh, like, how do I meet people? And so I was like, oh, there's paddle. Great, I'm gonna go play paddle, which is like sort of like tennis but different court.
Oh, cool.
And I started going and whatnot, and then I started seeing lots of different paddle courts here, right? And that's just like me walking around, and I hadn't noticed them before.
Oh.
And that's how it works. right?
Okay.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's no confirmation bias. I can't remember the name of that, but like basically what tends to happen is like something that you're paying attention to for some reason at that point, you're going to see it more often, right? Like
Yeah.
if you buy a car of a certain brand, you're going to start seeing that car everywhere. It's not that the car was not like, it's not that there's more cars like that and everyone bought the same car as you did, but it's because you're paying attention to that at that time. So when it comes to dating, right? So what I was thinking about that is
Yeah.
you can say, I'm seeing this thing on social media. It keeps feeding it more and more to me. Then even if you go out to the real world, you're going to keep paying attention to that same thing. And you're going to be like, see, social media is right.
Exactly. It's that like programmed bias is what
Yeah.
I've learned to like understand it as now because I am not immune to propaganda, contrary to perhaps some gamers or listeners that we have out there. I mean, great if you are. I'm
Well,
not.
contrary to what they would believe, I don't think most people are.
Just compensating for edge cases if they exist. But still,
Yeah.
I noticed that in myself when I was like browsing particular content because I either gave myself a certain type or have had a certain type. And now that I'm so sort of deep in that, confirmation rabbit hole, like of I've seen this content so much or wanted to see this content so much that it just keeps reinforcing that. I don't know which it is anymore. And that's the frightening thing to think of. Like, has this always been me or did I give myself this one through this like, subconscious programming? And, you know, it reinforces that, that kind of, I guess, lady that I desire, whether in like physicality or, psychology does exist, but like it may not be in my immediate areas or it may not be accessible because that requires like, me to uphold another like idealized standard as well. I mean, working on the hairline a bit over there. And I've got some
Me too.
ways that I can improve. Kind of digging it though. Yeah. Yeah. It looks smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is like basically social media changed who you're attracted to.
I haven't fully resolved that yet. What I do know is that, I guess just laying a card out on the table there, I do prefer, a huskier or like, a more stout lady because it's like you sort of think, I guess you want what is either opposite or like, antithetical to your conditions. And because I felt like, I guess a bit cold or like that life has been a bit harsh or like sharp, that, coming back to someone that might be softer is ideal. And that's, my thing about it. Just like one thing or one justification that I sort of give myself, for example. So in that and, in pursuing that, sometimes, I see it and then sometimes I don't. But it's hard to see where everything sort of overlaps and fits together because I've been getting to a point where I'm realizing that, maybe the physical traits don't matter if the emotional or psychological traits aren't met either. For instance, I actually did approach someone and, sort of confessed how I felt about them. We've known each other for about a year or two before that point. And I noticed a repeating trend of like how our conversations would go. It's like, whether they were serious or whether they were silly, like, they always took that, perspective or the way that I presented, like, my concerns or, my questions, and they treated them with like, genuine interest that I perceived. Like, they would address my points. They would actively listen to me, talk in the way that I understood how to talk. And that's a pretty big thing when it comes to relationships. There's a difference between talking to someone and talking at them. Like, there's a subtlety to it. But the point was that they did this multiple times, no matter the subject. Like they always made me feel like that my emotions were mine and I wasn't wrong for having them or those ideas, as opposed to some of the more like deflective or like dismissive language that I'd received when expressing, the same things to others, where it's just like, oh, well, that can't be true, or, you're not really this, like, and that was just sort of like, disheartening. But I confessed to them because they expressed that language. Like they actually cared. They believed me when I was saying what I was saying. And that was just rare to me. So we ended up going on a brief date, like, to a new restaurant that neither of us had tried before. And we got to know each other a little more, shared a bit about our, career aspirations, bit of our family life, like educational upbringing, some, ideological topics, that sort of thing. It was a good discussion. At the end of it, we did lay cards out on the table, though, and just in the way that I was honest about my feelings for her, she gave it to me straight, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That I did not have like similarly aligned like life goals to her, and that I may have not fit some of the criteria that she was looking for in a partner. Like, might have been a bit too young. That's only my inference. Like, I don't know for certain, but that was that. We just kind of accepted it, and we continue on. That's just sort of how it works. No hard feelings.
When you say continued on, what does that mean?
So we were part of a mutual friend group for a while, and that comes with some implications depending on like the social circles. Like, if two people in a friend group get together, it could like, fester some kind of resentment or, just like, I guess, dejection from the rest of the group, or just become a point of contention.
Or they might be happy about it.
Or that could be. That's always a possibility, but I guess that's sort of a tell into how my perspective trends towards the negative, and that's just not a great trait to have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I find that most people who struggle with dating have that, right? Because in my experience, every time up until I started up until when I became a nomad, I would always date friends, right? And I would say 95% of the time, I can't even think of one time, but let's just say that not 100%, but at least most times, when I said that I started dating a friend, everybody was happy.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I just simply haven't had that experience, or much for that matter. Sort of a clean slate when it comes to things, zero, encounters, I guess I have one date now, so I can add that tally to the stone. So.
Of course. Yeah.
Fair enough. Maybe it's not all zeros anymore.
So like you confessed, and then you kind of went on a date, and then she said doesn't work for her.
Yeah.
And then you guys just kept on going as friends?
Yeah, that's what we agreed on, Good. We still valued each other, like, intellectually is the thing. And, like, that's why I was, I guess, so into her at the start. It's like, I guess as, prideful or egotistical as it may be, like, I find that, few people can actually, like, match or exceed my intellect, but I believed that, she did. Yeah. Like, I could accept that she was smarter than me on a lot of subjects, and, I was okay with that, because she made me feel valued by the way she treated my, like, honesty and emotions. Like, and I think that's the best way I can summarize, like, why I tried to confess in the first place.
Yeah, of course. Like, I often hear from people like because my proposal is like go out, make friends, and then from there you're going to meet someone, right? And maybe people are like, well, like, but then I have to confess to a friend, and then that ruins the friendship.
That's sort of the fear, like the underlying bias behind it, kind of like a similar stigma to men in therapy, but that's another subject.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's like unusually taboo when you would assume that it shouldn't be if like friends cared about each other,
Yeah, exactly. Why do you think that in your case that didn't happen? Why do you think that you guys just kept going as friends?
I think it was in part because of our confidence. Like, we didn't just like announce this like publicly to the group, and I certainly didn't like announce it publicly either. It's like I confessed, like, only to her with no one else around. And, like, we ended up going to the lunch, just us, nobody else around. So nobody else really knew. So if nobody knows, then, why bother telling if that risks anything? And that's probably a terrible way to go about it and doesn't really help counter the points that we just went across. But that's just how it went, It's like some people don't like the show of it, They don't like to be, what is it? There's a term for it. Exhibitionist, that's it. Yeah. They don't want it to be like a whole exhibition. Like, they want it to be, private, or they might react differently if it's, in a public setting. I've experienced both sides.
No, look, like, I don't think that you should involve other people just for confessing. Like, when I was saying like that, that friends were supportive, it was usually like either me saying like, hey, I like this person, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you should like go talk to her, whatever. Or, like announcing that you're actually dating, right? not
Okay, that's that's fair
not
point.
confessing.
I
Because like
see.
confessing
Yeah.
is between the two of you. That's something that
Yeah.
other people, they have no say in it. Like, I don't really see any reason for anyone else to get involved, to be honest. I
Yeah.
do have a couple of stories in the podcast where a third party was basically let's say, the trigger for people to start dating because they couldn't really, like they were a bit too shy or things were like a bit awkward. So it
Kind of
was
like a
like,
middleman. Yeah.
yeah. But that was like one person who had heard from both, hey, I like this person, but I'm too shy. So that person went and said, hey, I think you should like,
Yeah, do that. Fair enough.
green light.
Yeah. And thinking about it, I did hear from a little bird among the group that apparently lots of bets were cast about, like, who in the friend group would date another person in the friend group. I was completely unaware about that, but apparently it did happen. And I only heard from, another mutual friend.
Yeah,
So, I mean, fair enough, but I'm not really counting cards about it or, like, fulfilling, I guess, guesses.
sure.
Like, just did what I wanted to because I felt like I wanted to.
Yeah. But like when you confessed, I'm guessing it was more about like, hey, just so you know, these are my feelings. It wasn't like I'm like desperate for you to want me back.
No, no. It was not like a return relationship thing. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we've had the friendship for about like a year or two. We've had interactions like during that friendship. Like I observed, a trend within that made me feel in ways that I don't normally do, or that made me feel, I guess, unique kind of feelings in that moment. And that's what led me up to want to confess. And I didn't do it through like text or nothing. I had the gall to at least make it like a voice call because I felt like it had that kind of weight or import. But we were, pretty far off, and they do have like a shared living arrangement similar to me. So didn't want the roommate or otherwise to hear in on that to make them uncomfortable. So
Yeah. How did you feel continuing the relationship?
well, the friendship. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
yeah,
mean, a friendship is a relationship.
yeah, touche. Still, I think I'm gonna be fine with it. It's like, I tried and that's what matters. If minds change, then they change. If they don't, then life goes on. It's like I'm not gonna hold my breath about it because I've sort of been through that sort of like tugging heartstrings phase in high school. It's not really worth it. It's just
Have you met again? Like since that?
since then. Um, We do have a like group session for tabletop role playing games that we're both part of tonight, and I think yeah, we did share one on the weekend before, like after the whole thing happened. It was just things went as they did. We played our characters, we had a good time, and that was that. No need for drama or fuss.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it is for many people. It is scary. It's like, oh, like that. Now they know that I like them, and it's gonna be awkward. And yeah, like sometimes it's gonna be awkward for a little bit until you just
Yeah,
get used to it.
yeah. Oh, believe me, I was terrified, symptomatic of just sort of the, I guess, loud noises about the societal opinion or court of public opinion on men. So it's just like I really don't want to ruin this because, like, she is a genuinely nice person, but also like there is the possibility, and I don't know. I think a lot. And sometimes I think too much or think in circles or think about things that will just simply not occur because it's like a fictitious scenario. So
Yeah. But then you showed up and everything was fine.
I was I was very stiff at first,
Sure.
but once we were able to start some actual conversation or like, do shared things like ordering food or conversing with the wait staff, then the casualness started to, come on out. But that's sort of how I operate, and it's probably not conducive to, a dating lifestyle. It's like I am very like autonomous and automatic like in my behaviors. Like I don't like spending excess energy where I don't need to unless it's absolutely necessary. So I usually just keep like, a flat, like blank face as I go and just like, use efficient, like, articulations to get to where I need to go or do what I need to do. Just like, swerve out of the way of like, someone with a shopping cart one way just to get to a product that I need, like go
Yeah.
in, get the food, get out. It's like, you don't think about those things in something as innocuous as a grocery store or even like a fast food line because, there have been some, girls that I think that are pretty that are just like doing their jobs, but they're just doing their jobs. And that's one of the things that's also a bit weird. It's just like, where is the appropriate place to sort of like meet or talk to someone or say, hey, I think you look cute? It's like nobody really likes that at work, like dude or chick. I mean, unless you do, like unless it's your thing. But from my experience, a lot of people aren't really into that, or they already have relationships, and just hearing that for the upteenth time just gets annoying. Like
Hmm.
you just don't know, but that's always the risk.
So where do you think it's a good place to go to meet people?
Well, there are the local gaming stores. Like, some people go as individuals, some go as families, others as couples, but there's always the off chance. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of like club or bar life at a principal. I've shared a little bit of that with some family from my sister's side, and they got a nice husband and good folks, but they do a lot of like the drinking lifestyle, and it's just not really for me. Like, you know, I keep to myself, keep sober, like, keep my head on a swivel about things. So I guess when I do go somewhere, it's usually to either a hobby shop or I guess a restaurant. And that's kind of where I go outside of business places like the office, the post office, like, offices for financial means, that sort of thing, just regular errand stuff. Other than that, it's not really, I guess, a subject that's come to mind, but that's kind of counterintuitive to wanting to date, I guess. It just seems challenging when you lead a, I guess, cloistered lifestyle. Like your places are work and home. Like that's where I go, that's what I do. I don't really do much else. And I don't really know where much else to go to, find the type of lady that I'd like to have, or maybe, their subculture, the way they carry themselves with their personality would do the same thing, and neither of us are going to see each other because we're both like, introverted neats, I guess.
Yep.
For those who are familiar with the slang.
Yep. I mean, that's literally why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, date like a nerd. No, that's like the premise of your entire podcast.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, sometimes relationships form in games. Depends on the game, of
Oh, yeah.
course, but those are a bit more challenging to pull off, and especially in the age of just like girl on video game, girl. Just everybody and their father's on that shit. It's just like, what are you gonna do? It's no longer like, it's just Joe and Todd, like, competing for Jane's affection on like Sunset Boulevard. It's like, you're competing with like 1,000 guys in your state and then like 10,000 guys within like a traveling distance radius. Like the way that technology has sort of evolved in terms of communication, it's
Yeah.
not like paper, pen letters or, like landline calls on minutes anymore. It's just like you can see anything and see anyone you want in a matter of a few taps in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Just so overwhelming.
I don't know if you're competing with so many people, honestly. Like I had recently a podcast episode with Katie about dating within video games. Like she's an expert in like online video game communities.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you should watch it. And you listening and watching, you should watch it as well. And she was basically like sharing how basically what happens is like you have a female avatar, and like you're saying, like people will be like just like, hey, how's it going? And it's funny because her husband is like 40 years old and plays a female bard and gets harassed all the time, and she is sitting next to him while they play. Right? I mean, like she experiences the harassment from people, but also like her husband, because he plays a female avatar.
It's shared because he's got a female avatar character,
Exactly.
and it's like, you really think the girl wouldn't play the girl character, or the guy wouldn't play the guy character?
Exactly.
And it's like one of my friends told me best. It's like, hey, like if I'm gonna be playing this game for hours and I'm gonna be staring at something, I'd rather it be what I want. Like, and that's
exactly what he said. That's exactly what he said. Yes.
I mean, some of my friends do that. I do it as more like I guess, what was it? I guess self-insert. It's not a great thing to think about, but like I play like male characters because I'm a dude. It's like, I want to live the fantasy of like swinging the big hammer.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Just
And there's a lot of psychology that goes into how you choose the avatars that you choose. I talked to Daniel Kaufman a while back on the show, twice actually. There's 2 episodes, and he shares how the type of character that you make actually is a reflection of how you want to play and how you want to relate to it, right? And like the reason I was saying before, like I don't know if you're actually competing, is because that's not how relationships develop, even in gaming, right?
Yeah.
The way they develop is you're a part of the community. You start meeting people and getting to know people, right? And that's how things actually develop.
Evolve from there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it starts with community. And
yeah,
thinking about it, I guess the only community that I really have or focus on is, my friend group. And that's
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Well, to me, the main thing is friend groups are really important on the one hand because they give you security, they give you support, they give you lots of really, really important things.
Yeah.
But if you want to find a partner, the group has to be permeable. So people have to be able to come in and out of the group.
Yeah. It has to have like a community cycle.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why usually what I propose is, and I don't know if you do this with your groups or not, is to me it's really important to take people out of the containers. So if you go and play D&D with someone, with a group, if you only play D&D with them, you have very little time to actually socialize and get to know them. And then you spend the rest of the... You're really going to get to know their characters, that's for sure, but not them. And so the idea is you go somewhere and then you're like, hey, let's go to the game store and play Magic. Or let's go do something else, something different. And that will also give people the option to bring their own friends to new activities. And that's how you start meeting people.
Yeah. So a really good point. And probably a better bargain than, dating apps. They've become more of a travesty than anything else lately. Though the thought has always crossed my mind of just, trying again. First you don't succeed or something like that.
Trying again dating apps?
Yeah. I've been between a few of them, just like the full ringer, I've gone through my share of roller coasters, like, what is it, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, Woo Plus personally. That was a personal choice. It's more curated to, specific type. But, it's sort of been more of just the same. It's like, free accounts are very limited and, guys don't really get much interaction. There's a lot of like interaction bias and like, a large disparity of the proportion of like, people interacting on the apps. So that contributes to, just discouraging psychological factors. So,
yeah. How did you feel when you were using apps?
It was intriguing. It's been a couple years, like, on and off, that sort of thing. But the consistencies or constants of it is like, I try my best to, put my best foot forward, like give an honest profile, like, take some decent pictures, like show myself, with my friends or, doing something that I enjoy as an activity, taking all of the tips that I could, but it just never really seemed to change much, At the end of the day, it feels like it just reinforced that stereotype of you only get attention if you are like, wealthy, attractive, both, or, something out of a female fantasy romance novel. And that's like the criteria. So it was a bit just discouraging, though. I might be able to like put less emotional investment into it. I think that's the big kicker. It's like you understand the game that you're playing. You have to, or else you're just going to like lose yourself to it. And
most people, what they do is they either don't use them at all or they become addicted. And it's really easy to become addicted because...
the dichotomy of it, because you're craving like, for connection or attention. And there's even entire markets like of that on the funny, OnlyFans website, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think it's multifactorial though. Like, I think it's on the one hand, you are given this impression that you could be with all these people that you're seeing. It's like, oh, I have a chance. No, you don't.
That's the marketing, and it's deceptive intentionally.
Well, it's not just marketing. It's like if they swipe right and I swipe right, then we will match.
Yeah.
Right? I see them on the app. We're in the same online space. Right? I'm in a space where I have access to these people, and the truth is you don't. But that's how it feels. The other thing is the random schedule, like dopamine effect. I can't remember the exact name. It's basically the idea is, I don't know if you've heard of that. So a while back, what they did was there was a study, they gave some pigeons like a pellet if they press the lever.
Oh, yeah, the reward mechanism, like test. Yeah, consistency versus randomness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so some of them, they gave the reward every time they press the lever. And at some point, they just like forgot about it. They would only do it when they were hungry. Others, they only released the pellet when they, like randomly, when they pressed it, but randomly. So sometimes they pressed it and nothing happened. Sometimes they pressed it and the pellet came out. Those kept pressing it over and over and over again, even if they were not hungry, right? Because if it's apparently, I'm not an expert in neuroscience, but apparently if you give someone random rewards and you hold it at other times randomly, then they become addicted, which is the issue with social media, which is part of why video games get addicted. And it's the same with dating apps.
Yeah, no, it's just the psychology of like rarity or like the gambler's mentality. Like,
yeah, gambling.
It's all like gambling with extra steps.
Exactly. It's the exact same mechanism. And so, like you were saying, like I think like dating apps do work. It's not that they don't.
They can.
The percentages, yeah, they can. Like the percentages could be like between like 5 to 10, maybe 20% sometimes, depending on the survey and the country.
A bit generous, but I suppose regionally it varies. Yeah.
Regionally it varies. I did the survey that I did here in Mexico City. It was 6% between nerds, which to me makes total sense. So it's not like it doesn't work. There is
some success rate. It's just low.
Exactly. And when I say work, I mean like long-term relationships. I'm not talking about hookups.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what would matter to me too. It's like I'm not involved or want that kind of culture or, openness either. I'm a selfish guy. What can I say? Like, just
you want it all for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like since dating apps have like all these downsides, my suggestion is always it's not just like stop using them, but like just like cut down the use of it, maybe once or twice a day at very specific times, remove all notifications, remove read receipts, remove everything so that you can actually just live your life and have them as just one more tool. And then you can actually focus on building a community, building friendships, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Laying the foundations.
Yeah. Well, more like the foundations is like, even though it was not reciprocated, you did find someone that you liked and that you had a relationship with. Friendship.
Yeah. I'm tracking with you. I'm tracking with you.
Yeah. So like, from my perspective, that's, I would say, the closest you've been to having a relationship.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. Which is that compared to one-off dates on dating apps, or maybe none, that's a huge leap.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
So the question is then, how do you replicate it?
Well, I guess I would need to find somebody that elicited the same thing or something,
Somebody
close.
that what, sorry?
Elicited the same thing, like elicited the same response or like, reaction like within me. It's like, I would like conquer the Holy Lands again for this person. Like, the ideal male fantasy sort of trope. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But like it took you said a year and a half of getting to know this person to get to that point.
Yeah, about a year or two, realistically. Yeah, we shared the same friend group and we did have those, conversations, but they weren't all like one after the other. We didn't see each other as regularly. And even then they were much closer with, another friend of mine who I was introduced into the group like with. So, they knew them for longer than I did. So it just didn't feel, I guess, completely right to sort of just, sideline myself in there or just like attach as a third wheel on a trike, that sort of thing.
Yeah. But like that timeline, like in my survey, the average time that people were friends for until they started dating was around 1 year, and there was a meta study in Canada that was 2 years, the average, of people being friends until they started dating. So you're pretty much like with the
Within the
average.
statistical expectation.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you definitely can't make pasty decisions about who you want to spend the rest of your life with. So I suppose that's realistic enough.
Well, because like, I mean, you're talking about someone who made you feel a specific way, right? She made you feel safe. She made you feel heard,
Yes.
understood, accepted you. That's not something that you can get so fast, usually, from someone whom you just met. You can feel attracted, you can feel lust,
Yeah.
but
Always that.
but feeling truly accepted and understood, that's rarer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly the word I used to describe it too. It's like, you're rare because I've never felt like that, in a lot of places in my life,
Yeah.
even home life. It's just like, it was euphoric, really, I guess.
Yeah. And this is a D&D group that you were introduced to by friends.
Yeah. So the way that it sort of panned out was, I guess, as early as 2017, I, was sort of new to the greater neighborhood after getting, one of my first jobs, I think. And then I discovered a hobby shop. I discovered a PC repair shop because I had something that was going on with my personal rig that I needed some professional insider perspective on. And then, I took it to them because they said they were a repair shop on their ad. And then I noticed I had all these kits on the walls. I didn't know what they were at the time. And I just said hey, what's those funny plastic soldiers on the wall over there? And that's how I got into Warhammer 40K. Warning to all you gamers out there. James will take your money if you let him. The funny plastic toy soldiers are cool, but you have to, you pace yourself. One kit, build it, paint it, play with it, repeat. Don't do what I did.
What, no great pile of shame?
Don't buy your whole army in one go and then say, I swear I'm going to build and paint it all. I promise. No, that never works. It never will work. Be smarter than me. Be more fiscally responsible. For your own sake.
Hey, you're a homeowner. What are you talking about? You can have both.
I may be a homeowner, but I'm still a bit of a jester with how I'm juggling finances. It's about the same cost as renting, but it comes with a lot of unexpected little things that nobody really tells you until you get there.
So, going back to how you can replicate what happened with this person, right? With new people. And by replicate, I don't mean getting rejected again. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about finding someone that understands you and that you like.
Creating the connection. That's the important thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, finding and creating the connection. That's key.
So you're going to D&D campaigns. What happens when you go to the gaming shop?
Sometimes it's business. I have gotten permission from the store owner as we grew to be friends over the years to sometimes drop off some wares that I'm selling for customers as long as I mark them in a specific way. Other times, I hang out and watch other friends play. We had a buddy of ours from out of state come on to visit, so we all got together and cracked out some card or board games to play with them. So we do it for rarer occasions like that, but one of my friends actually makes a consistent effort to go weekly to do some Warhammer stuff. But they're a married man, so they got themselves a real nice lady, in my opinion.
Right.
Wonderful lady, but still, that's where I think I would want to go because I have the means, I have the tools, and that's I guess a story of my life that I kind of see in patterns. It's I get the tools, I get the means to do the thing, whether it's, creating or engaging in a hobby or stuff. But then I simply don't do it because I sort of get dragged down back into the drudgery of managing work and administrative tasking between making sure, all the bills are made, all the finances are in the accounts they're supposed to be, all the auto pays are routed correctly. Just adult stuff, I guess. Not the fun, sexy, blackjack and hookers adult stuff, the real boring adult stuff, not going to jail.
How long would you think it would take you to go to these things to start building a network?
If I were to give it the intentional time, I could probably start it up in as soon as 3 weeks to 1 month, simply because the way that my weekends flux and wax and wane. Sometimes I have meetings or games on weekends, but they take up like quite a long time. And then others, I have open weekends to like do what I want with. But I mean, living for the weekend is just kind of how I have lived. You work, your regular job to, make it to the weekend where you do work that you actually care about. And that's one of the things that I've been coming to realize. So,
But like, how much time do you think you would have to invest weekly or monthly to go to
to
these
go to the
places?
shop,
Yeah.
I mean, an average Warhammer match at about like 2,000 points could go anywhere from, I guess, 2 to 5 hours, depending on like the competency of the players and
Yeah.
like, the speed of like decisions made. Sometimes you banter about, sometimes you grab lunch mid-match, things happen, but you'd probably plan to make a day of it. You like, plan to gather your army, like get your books, get your dice, your tape measure, all the stuff that you need to play the game. And then, you go to the store, maybe you get a breakfast or maybe you have it before you leave. Then, you meet your opponent, set up, like, get the deployment going. Then you start doing the playing thing. And then if the match isn't over before you guys want lunch, you can either like, get a lunch in the middle and just sort of hold things as they are on the battlefield, or you just see it through and then maybe get lunch and then go for like a round two. You both got your armies there, may as well like, have another bout, or try again.
What is something that you could do that would take like maybe, let's say, 2 hours, maybe in a weekend, and you just go there, have fun for a couple hours, meet some new people, chat, and then go back. Like if you could do that, like maybe
Something consistently.
like not necessarily even every week, maybe even like every 2 weeks, and then from that you can get to meet people, and then you can say, hey, like let's all go to whatever. You can invite your D&D friends as well, and go do something else, right? Before we started recording, you mentioned that you went to a concert. You can invite people to go to concerts. That's how relationships are built.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I suppose there are some options. Yeah. I mean, being who I am, I do attend to like, my local church, and there was like, a young adult group there, but I had a game that conflicted with that meeting time. So I sort of like, fell to the wayside on that. But I could restart that again. And even then I did, also say that I liked someone there, but they, were already taken. It's just swings and misses, but oh well. Yeah.
That's
Never
how it
going to
is.
get ahead unless you keep batting.
Yeah, but like, look, like if you start going to church, right, and that's as good a place as any. I
I
met,
have been for a few years, so
yeah,
it's part of my upbringing and my life.
yeah, and like, and I know someone here who wanted to find someone who was religious, so she went to church and met someone there. Now they're dating.
Right, nice.
Like, yes, some people are coupled, but you can totally say, okay, who's single here? Male, female, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And just say like, hey, do you want to come with me to play board games? Do you want to come with me to a concert? I'm going there with some friends. Feel free to
neat.
invite people.
Yeah. Yeah. Make a group setting or something,
Yeah.
amicable.
Sorry?
I was just saying something amicable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the way that I envision it is like, the skill trees, right? In video games?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah. Skill trees.
Yeah, where like you have one skill that once you unlock it, you can unlock other skills that are similar to that one, right? They're somewhat related. If it's a
Yeah.
defensive skill, you're going to unlock more defensive skills. If it's like whatever, a fire spell, you can unlock more fire spells from that branch. The way that I see social sort of networks is similar. It's like, okay, what type of build do you want to have for your own character in terms of social life in terms of network? So if you say, I like this person who goes to church, I think they're cool, a guy, doesn't really matter. Most likely you will have stuff in common with their friends.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And the same goes for D&D or for whatever it is, right? Like this person that you liked, if you stick to being friends with her and you say like, hey, I'm going to do something with my friends, come join us, bring some of your friends, you probably will get along with her friends.
Maybe. Yeah.
That, like, I move every 3 to 6 months, and that's how I do it, right? I go to a new place, I meet a bunch of people. And I'm like, I think you're cool. I think you're cool. Let's all go out, bring people. And from there, I just keep on looking.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
Good stuff.
What do you think about that approach?
It's definitely a bit more socially aggressive than I'm used to. I guess I have grown a bit jaded or misanthropic throughout my years of just feeling, negatively about different things that aren't wholly related to people. Just like, uh, that's more of a personal thing, though. It's just like,
I'd like to hear it. What do you mean?
when you're growing up that you're told that, all you got to do is just like, go to college and then, set yourself up right and then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
I've just been in a place that I feel like I've been lied or, cheated on it. It's like, I've got the place and, I've got tens of thousands of dollars of student debt to my name and a job that's not going to keep up with the rising cost of things. So what did I really do here? It's like, it feels like I've been like, broken on every promise that I was given when, I committed my early years to the education life instead of socializing. And now it's just like, what do I have to show for it? And I mean, I guess this house is kind of cool, like, and especially at my age and just like bracket of things in my region, it's sort of a statistical anomaly. And thanks to the help of, a good friend and roommate of mine, it's staying afloat, but still, I've been under a lot of duress trying to keep it together. So it's just been a bit heavy. So I'm not sure if I'm ready to sort of bear that weight and then like get myself back out there, which has been part of my doubts. And I know what I want and I know where I've tried and haven't really found it. I'm not above admitting that I did experiment with OnlyFans at one point, but at the end of my experimentation, I found, like, no matter how much I invest here, it's not going to get me what I want. So, like, that's just the reality of it. And so I was able to rip that wire from my head pretty early on. It's kind of the way that I like to visualize the metaphor.
Yeah.
Still, I guess getting myself back out there involves getting involved in a community of some kind. I just have to choose one that's outside of my friend circle or adjacent to it. And I don't really know where that would be at the time. I have some options, but they all require their own commitments. And yeah, committing energy or resources is just something that I feel a bit strained on.
I mean, if it's Warhammer and you have to spend 5 hours and a whole day, yes, that's
Touché.
a lot.
I mean, for Warhammer specifically, I've played the game for years. I know what I'm getting into there.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, though, is going to be a bit out of my comfort zone.
How do you feel about getting out of your comfort zone?
Because it's not within like a pattern or like, a repeated behavior that I've already done. It's like, it's new. It requires adaptation.
Yeah, it always does. So how do you feel about that?
Well, adaptation's gotten me this far, so.
I mean, you were not in the house that you are now before. You had to adapt.
Touché. Yeah. Just utilities, property management, jurisdiction, refilings, taxes and all. Just.
Yeah. But once you have that systematized.
Yeah, then it becomes pattern. So I see where you're going. Yeah. The logic is sound.
Yeah. Like, look, everything new is scary, right? Like, as I mentioned, like I arrived to Mexico and I started going to play paddle. I hadn't played paddle since the 90s. The courts and the rackets literally changed.
Oh.
Like they used to be concrete and now they're plexiglass, the walls. And the rackets used to be like just quarter inch or half inch just piece of wood, and now it's like a thick thing of like foam. So like things changed a lot. And I got there and I was like, this is weird. What am I doing here? I don't know anyone. Nobody's talking to me. I just feel so out of place. But I know that that's the process. I've done it in many, many, many cities for the past 12 years. So I just know that that's the process. right? And so I went a second time, and one person recognized me. I was like, okay,
Oh,
somebody knows I exist. Great.
hey,
And then
progress.
yeah, and then I noticed that people were hanging out afterwards. So then the third time that I went, I just hang out and stuck around. And now when I go, people know me. They ask me how whatever it is went that I mentioned that I was doing. Like it takes time, and I consider myself to be fairly social out of necessity because I'm here all alone.
Fair enough.
And still, it's not like I just show up at a place and I feel super comfortable. I feel super out of place because everybody already knows each other. But the
Yeah.
more you keep going, the more you're like, okay, I've seen you before. I've seen you before. Cool. Like it's more familiar. It takes some time. I'm not saying that it's just like overnight or over day that you show up at a place and you feel like at home. It sometimes happens, but it's rare. Usually what
Yeah.
happens is you show up and you're like, what am I doing here? Just get me out.
Yeah. Just not every moment is like the hobby shop moment where you just walk in and you're like, this is my place. These are my people.
Yeah. Or look, even if it's your place and your people, which I've had like most of the time when I go to conventions or when I go to board game nights or something, I'm like, oh, these are my people, but I don't know any of them. And they keep talking about stuff that they know between themselves, like
Yeah.
their lives. And I'm like, I don't know anyone here.
Yeah. Like the inside jokes and stuff.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I've been going to board games here. Actually, I reactivated the board games here. I found a WhatsApp group and I sort of
Oh,
reactivated it.
cool.
And the first time we met, I was like, I don't know anyone. They're talking about stuff that they know and people that I've never heard of. That's great. But tonight we're going for dinner, right? We're not playing
Cool.
board games. We're just going for dinner. And that's because I met someone playing paddle who wanted to organize a dinner. So I invited these people. And then she came to board games. And also another woman that I met dancing also joined us for board games. I don't know if she's coming on Friday. And
No.
so basically, the addition of new people made us sort of like leave that container and we're going to go do other stuff and get to know each other, right?
Yeah.
But I've been here for now 3 months.
Whoa.
It wasn't overnight.
Yeah. Guess that would take the time to cultivate.
Yeah. In the same way that you started liking your friend after like a year or a year and a half.
Just sort of, I guess, realizing after a few instances, like, that I really appreciated that, and that appreciation turned into something more.
Yeah. But you didn't start appreciating it the first day. You probably didn't notice that she was as accepting or welcoming in the beginning.
Comparatively, maybe not. It did sort of like raise a little bit of like awareness, like, this isn't what I expected. But then like, it's just like, okay, this might be a one-off, and then I move on.
Yeah.
It's like, but then the second time it happens, it's like, just like you start paying closer attention. And then like, third or fourth time, you're like, oh, this is just who you are. I think I like this.
Yeah. And it's the same with new groups of friends. It's okay, like I'm going to know people, okay, this happened today. How's it going to go next time? And it's like, oh, like actually I'm enjoying this. And then after a while, it's like, this is my place, this is my home, these are my people, right?
Yeah.
And if you have enough people coming in and out, if you sort of mix and match friends from different communities, then at some point you're going to run into a person that's just like the one that you met, right? Because you wouldn't have met her if you had not been going to D&D.
Yeah, suppose not.
Which is not staying at home, just paying your bills and working.
Yeah, not keeping to just myself, my machines, and I. Yeah.
Yeah. Kirk, is there anything that you would like to ask me that you would like to touch on before we wrap up?
It's been good conversations for sure. A lot of give, but a lot to take in as well from those perspectives.
I'm glad.
I have an idea of where I can go from here with like laying out the idea of like groups, hobbies, and overlapping like, friend groups or events.
Yeah.
And it will take me a while to figure out or, find others who are amicable to it as well. Because as much as I'm feeling the weight of sort of the regular struggle, everyone else is too. And that's just the reality of things. So Maybe it won't be an orthodox way. Maybe it'll be through dating apps. I'm not sure which way to go next, but I appreciate the time that you've given me to join you on the show. And who knows, maybe I could be a recurring guest or come back with some better news in a few months.
Look, if you have any news, any changes, I would be more than happy to have you. I'd love to know where you're going. I mean, you're on Discord as well, so I guess we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
And yeah, everyone else, I hope this was useful. Please let me know if you have any questions, any comments. Maybe next time Kirk comes back, we can ask him those questions and see how it went. Or if you have any questions that you would like me to ask future guests, just let me know. Take care and continue playing.
Looking for a player too? I've interviewed hundreds of nerds and learned what really works. Download your data-backed guide with real stories, actionable tips, and a step-by-step system for finding love the nerd way at daylikeanerd.com/reality.